What's going on, everybody? This is Ron from OAS. I'm going to be doing a quick review over the Omnibus F4 V5 and the Typhoon 32 V2. All right. So basically, I'm just going to show you the quick pinout the options that you have to use for the Omnibus F4. The rest of the video is going to be pictures of the build or maybe detailed information about the wiring of the flight controller and then some flight footage. So I'll be quick. Now, if you've never dealt with Omnibus flight controllers before, you have a lot of options. So sometimes you have to jumper a few pads to make things, preferable for you. So because I'm running the Typhoon 32 with the 8-pin connector, there are a few things that I need to jumper. So I get to choose between either current or telemetry. So that's what you're going to use for RX1 and current. I'm going to use current because I'm not going to use telemetry. So I'm going to jumper solder this to current, which would be, gives you instructions right here on how you want to do that, okay? And it specifically says if you're using like the Typhoon 32. All right, now if you were using individual ESCs, you would have to make that same choice here on the jumper solder pads for the rail in the center, all right? Which is right here, and it will tell you exactly how to do it. Now, this flight controller is an all-in-one, but it's not an all-in-one. It's an all-in-one in the sense that it has beta flight. You can power external components from it. But what it's not an all-in-one in the sense of you cannot solder up ESCs directly to this or a battery lead. Now, it does take direct voltage from your battery, which is 3 to 6S. So that's a good thing, which those leads are right here on the third rail down. So that's your positive and negative for your VBAT, okay? The other jumper solder pad that I'm going to need to do is I'm going to have to jump the voltage output for your VTX in camera, which shows you right here. So you would need to choose between 5 volt or VBAT, okay? So because I'm running a TBS VTX HV, I'm going to choose VBAT. So I'm going to jumper solder the 2 lower pads, which would be RAM and VBAT, and that is up here. So most of our components can handle 2 to 6S anyway. So unless you're running something like a TBS Pro, the 5 volt one, that's the only time you would probably need to power via 5 volts, all right? So that's what I'm going to use. You do have some other options when it pertains to other 5 volt options. The instructions are very clear about that. Whether you want 3 volts or 5 volts here for J6. You have buzzer of LEDs, current sensing, all that other stuff, RSSI. There's a lot of things that you can set up on this to get what you need from it. So, but other than that, it's a good little board, and I'll show you the rest as we go. So enjoy the build video, some good elevator background music, and some flight video. All right, here it is, all wired up. I wired pretty much everything to the bottom of the board. Only thing I wired to the top was the camera outputs, but everything else is wired to the bottom. So you got your S-Bus, you got your video, smart audio. They recommend that you use TX3, so UART3 for smart audio. And then all my bridges are done. So there's the bridge to run current sensing. And then here's the bridge to run VBAT to these 2 pads here. Okay. All right. Next one's going in the rig. All right. So as we're going through this, I noticed something with the Typhoon 32. The FETs are so close to the mounting holes that they include these little grommets, these spacers in there. So that way, when you screw on, you get a flush surface and it's not resting on the FET itself. So just make sure that when you're using the Typhoon 32, that you use those little grommets, and it gives you a good, nice flat surface without crushing your FETs or resting on your FETs. All right, here we go. I'm gonna wrap it up here. This build went together really, really well. The Omnibus F4 V5 is an amazing flight controller. It makes it even better when it's combined with this Typhoon 32 V2. I mean, it is absolutely amazing. It makes for a very, very clean build. The plus side to this thing is I mean, the flight controller itself, you can do a tremendous amount of things with it. You can There's a lot of options. You just have to take your time and read the diagram, read the instructions to figure out what way you want to go when it pertains to what you want to solder, what you want to jump, or things like that. The only thing that I would change in here is the position of the flight controller and the 8-pin connector, or the 32-bit. If I was going to rotate this entire thing, I would have to repin the 8-pin connector. So the way it sits right now, you have no choice but to line up the motor 1 here, which means that 8-pin connector will always be hanging out the side, which means your power leads go out to the left side. That's just the way the diagram, that's the way the ESCs are set up. That's the way the 8-pin connector is set up. Now I used the 3-centimeter one. If I would have used the 7-centimeter one, I could have rotated it and set the connector in the front and then had my USB port hanging out to the side. But it is the way it is right now. I'm okay with it. I don't mind it. Once I set a tune, I rarely have to change it anyway. But this thing is absolutely amazing. Some of the cleanest video that I've seen, and we all know that you can have potential noise in your video, especially when you're dealing with 4-in-1 ESCs and flight controllers that can handle 6S. You tend to get some kind of noise in your video, especially if you're not running a cap. And I will tell you that this thing does not need a cap. It doesn't need a cap anywhere in it. The video's flawless the way it is. So I'm gonna stop running my mouth, and I'm gonna give you both HD footage as well as some DVR footage. This thing is absolutely amazing. So go get it.
Halfway up to spread.